Hi again, I'm Lynda Keane, and with me today I have my business partner and daughter, Haylley Pittam, and we're
Hi.
just going to have a little bit of a chat and find out a little bit more about Haylley and what she's been doing and is doing in the industry. So, good morning, Haylley.
Good morning. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm very well, especially as the sun is shining. It's a beautiful day, despite the fact that we're all in lockdown. Um, we can't get in the water, so let's just sort of carry on educating ourselves and educating everyone else. So, Haylley, where can we start? Let's just start with, how long have you been working in the industry, in the aquatic industry, that is?
Okay, well, I probably should start with saying that I was swimming from a very young age, and from being around the swimming environment, I went to then becoming a swimming teacher and a lifeguard. And then, as we all do in the leisure industry, you then start doing some other jobs like the receptionist. So then I was lifeguarding, swimming teaching, receptionist, all those jobs that you do, and actually formed a swim school with yourself, with Lynda, back in the year 2000. We had our own swim school, which we closed in 2010. So we had it for 10 years. And that swim school was closed down due to the actual pool being knocked down at the school that it was located at. So from there, I have been in the industry, I would say, pretty much since I was about 16. But being an Aqua Aerobics teacher, I actually qualified in 2000 as well. So quite a few years that I've been teaching Aqua Aerobics. And throughout my journey...
Just back in there, but I remember having to sort of almost beg to qualify you, and you were the youngest qualified aqua instructor in the UK at the time. You were 17 years old, but we were absolutely desperate in our area for aqua teachers. So I said, you know, you'd been swimming, you'd been brought up around a swimming pool, please could you train?
Well, yeah, and obviously I'd been watching you teach the classes for, well, back then it would have probably been, you'd probably been doing it for about 6 years at that point, I'd say, something around that. Yeah. And so because I would swim and train, and then you would teach your class, I would then watch that class and wait for you to finish before we could then go home. So I probably spent 5 years watching you teach before I then became a teacher myself. And from then, you know, teaching Aqua Aerobics, I was also going through the management side of the industry as well. So then I became a gym manager and got all my land qualifications at the same time.
So how many qualifications in fitness do you have now?
I reckon I actually have over 40, because when I was doing my fitness instructor's qualification, then I went on to go and do my nutrition management. I then went and done circuit trainer's instructor and built up, and then became a personal trainer. From becoming a personal trainer, I then done both SU training, and the land training then just built up alongside with my aqua training. So I made sure that if I was doing one land qualification or one land course every year, I'd also make sure I do one water qualification, one water course. So I think essentially, you know, I built up with both sides, land and water. And as my own interests progressed and went in different directions, I've then married the two together.
Excellent. Yeah. Definitely a mother-daughter team. We've done a lot of conferences together. We've done a lot of workouts together. We've both sort of worked our way through the industry together. Excellent.
Yeah, I think where you know with seeing you do your studying, doing your master's degree, and it all, you know, carrying yourself up to the next level as well, that's always given me the inspiration to keep going. And you know, keep that knowledge as fresh as I possibly can, so that I don't feel that I'm stale or I'm, you know, lethargic in the way I'm teaching, or my knowledge is, you know, from back when dinosaurs existed.
Oh, you're that old as well. So what would you say is your speciality in, let's just put it in the pool rather than necessarily saying aquatic fitness or whatever. What would you say that you're in teaching in the water is your area of interest, your main focus, your expertise?
So I have very much gone into the pre and postnatal aspect of teaching in the water. I kind of started this journey about 9 years ago, and through the journey that I've been on, I would definitely say that pre and postnatal, female pelvic care, pelvic health, and the kind of love that I have for the pelvis now has made me then expand my knowledge and go deeper and deeper into that side of things, and how we move in the water has
what would you say would be a sort of big difference between working in the water and working on land for the pregnant person or for somebody with pelvic issues?
The one main thing is the fact of the buoyancy of the water. So the support that the buoyancy gives the body. If they're pregnant, then it obviously holds the bump. If they are having some pelvic issues, then they haven't got the gravitational force pulling down, and the pelvis can be in like a happy environment to be able to then be improved on or worked or assisted to being cared for. So the buoyancy has a huge impact. Whereas if I look at, you know, customers that I'm looking after it on land, they are a little bit more restricted to how they feel in comparison to what they do in the water.
Excellent. And also because of course being in the pool suppresses pain as well, so if you've got a lady who's in pain, then it must be a nice environment for them to be in.
Well, if their bump's really heavy as well, and if their bump being really heavy has put that huge load on the pelvis, and the pelvis is having an effect from that, then, you know, that going into the water allows the pain levels, you know, if they've got sciatica or if they've got pelvic girdle pain, that kind of dulls that down, and it allows them to kind of bring the pelvis back into a bit more of an alignment without being in any pain and discomfort to do so.
So when would you think that would be a good time if somebody found out that they were pregnant? When would be a good time for them to come into the pool?
If someone has been doing water exercise prior to finding out they were pregnant, then the guidelines state that they can continue with the activities that they were doing before. If someone has found out they're pregnant and then they suddenly decide that they want to start coming, then it is advisable to wait to the 12 weeks to just make sure that they are okay. The ones that play a little bit more of a cautionary tale is the ones who come in at the 32, 34, 36 weeks and suddenly want to get fit to be able to help them with the birth. That is a cautionary tale, but at the same time I would rather that they came relaxed, enjoyed the water, hung out in the pool, met fellow women that were also in the same situation as them and enjoyed the water, than me turn them away. I would never turn someone at that point away, because the water provides such a therapeutic environment for them to be in.
I remember when I used to teach the prenatal classes, that some of the ladies would come in sort of a week before birth and say, for the birth now. It's a little bit like people that come and say, oh, I'm going on holiday next week, can you teach me how to swim? But the people that come sort of like a week before their due date, you know, what would you say to someone like that?
Well, we're not there to try and jump as high as we can to try and get the baby out as such. We're there to allow the body to relax. We're getting the body into a better state of the place, as well as their mind being in a better mind space, ready for the birth. So I do a lot more of the the calming influences on the body at that point, and I also want them to be able to have a sense of relaxation ready for the birth.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so let's sort of move on a little bit from the pre and postnatal. What's your favourite piece of equipment to use when you're, let's say, general population, leave the pre and postnatal behind. What's your favourite piece of equipment to use when you're teaching a class in the pool?
So I really do enjoy the Noodles. I think the Noodles are incredibly versatile and have so many uses that I don't think we've really reached the maximum exercises we can do with the Noodle just yet. And I also do enjoy the more dense resistance work. So the resistance pieces of equipment that are solid plastic, so the Aqua Strength pieces of equipment, Aqua Logic pieces of equipment, I really enjoy them as a piece of equipment to use in the water. I think the dumbbells are fantastic, but not everyone can have, you know, the dumbbell that they choose to have as such, because some of them do end up choosing dumbbells that are far too big, far too much buoyancy going on. And then their shoulders are up too high and they can't control their posture and they're not too big. So I do think that dumbbells is a piece of equipment that actually unfortunately gets used in a slightly incorrect manner, but I like them as well. I think my favourite in the fun element has definitely got to be, you know, the aqua poles, the kind of fun and funky type of piece of equipment that we've now see in the pool are fab, but Noodles are still fantastic. They beat
one of the things that I like with the Noodles, and especially sort of travelling, presenting so much across different sort of continents and different countries and different states in America, is a diverse amount of Noodles that there are. And I think that along with the different kind of dumbbells that people have, and you know, we shouldn't have just one size of dumbbells for the class. I think we should be the same sort of with the Noodles. You know, that different densities, even different lengths for different sized hands, different strengths and things. What do you think about that aspect?
Yeah, so there you can get some very short, stumpy little ones that are probably about a ruler long. You can get ones that are quite thin, almost I'd say an inch thick, whereas you can get some that are more solid with a larger sized circle of noodle, and that does have an impact upon how much the person's able to push down. If they've got weaker you know, arms, or they're trying to do too much and the noodle's too strong for them, then that then can obviously make their posture or make their balance not quite right. However, we do genuinely have the same standard throughout. They do just have the same thickness in England. They tend to be the same thickness, the same width, and that then sometimes has an impact on how old they are. So if they're a young noodle, then a newer noodle is going to be harder to push down. Their buoyancy, they're almost slimy. They've almost got like a sheen on them, and that can then cause an irritation, especially if someone's got, you know, arthritic hands or got problems with their shoulders. But then if they age and they get older and they start then taking on the water absorption, then they end up getting more heavy, and they don't get that same resistance that you can get in the water. So, you know, noodles are again a varying different level of ability, as well as, you know, having different sizes. Unfortunately, a lot of the leisure centres just tend to stick to buying the box standard ones.
Yeah, no, I quite agree. So how many hours, just changing again, how many hours a week do you spend in the pool as opposed to on poolside?
So in the pool, I would say 1 or 2 hours in the pool. I'm not in there as much as I would like. I'm on the pool 14 hours teaching, or 14 classes a week.
Yeah, taking over. Okay, so if you're on poolside for 14 hours, in the pool for a couple of hours, do you prefer one-to-one type treatments, or do you like the group exercise treatment best?
Ooh, it's a difficult one, because I feel as if I can achieve a lot more on a one-to-one. I can get more, give them more attention. I can focus on more things that's specific to that one person. But I love the vibe, the energy, the buzz from a good class. My classes range between, I think the smallest number I've got is a little private little group that I do with 6. These ladies have the pool with themselves, and it's just 6 of us. And then the biggest class I have is 50. And I don't want more than 50 in that class. I probably could fit in more than 50, but I don't want any more, because I still want to be able to see everyone. I want to be able to know that my class is doing the right technique, the right posture. And I'm very meticulous on that, on making sure they are in the right form. And when you then start having larger groups, you know, there is a tendency to where your eyes can't visually see everyone. And
yeah, wait till you get to my age.
I
know your back row.
So so it is one of those factors of having buzz from those classes, having the energy from those classes, having the fun that those classes bring, and the challenge against each other. But then I do like to spend time one-to-one with someone to be able to help them in the pool.
Cool. And what do you think's been your biggest challenge in your aquatic career? What sort of like created, been your biggest challenge? What's made you have to think outside the box?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I've got two main things. Recently, I say recently, 2 years ago, I was approached to take a class that has never really been done before, involving recovering stroke survivors. And they are so far past the care of any physio or any rehabilitation or any, you know, land-based help. They are, you know, years past their stroke, and they still want to keep active and they still want to keep fit. And they approached me because of the aqua therapy side of the work that I do. And they also saw that I was a swimming teacher. So they kind of really wanted the fact that these people who are going into the water might want to do exercises to ease off their body and help with the tightness of their affected side. But they also wanted to be able to possibly do swimming. And that has been one of the most rewarding and the most enjoyable challenges I've had, because that brought back some of the swimming side of things, as well as joining forces with the Aqua Aerobics side of things. And the attendees are gorgeous. They are absolutely lovely. And their achievements that we have been able to get and improve their movement and their mobility has been brilliant, absolutely brilliant. The one particular lady that I have who comes is 82, and she is a fighting spirit. She is such a lovely, lovely lady, but she came into that class shaking like a leaf. And she comes in a wheelchair, and she gets put into the pod, and it's like a hoist, but it just lowers the people into the water. And she came in, and we put 2 noodles on her. She was like I say, really, really shaky, but I held her throughout the whole class. We got her working. Over the course of the time, we have built up her strength, and we are now getting her in. She doesn't have any noodles. She is walking around that water. She is moving her body. She is getting freedom and then she does about 10 widths laying on her back, kicking her legs, and that is just fantastic. Her confidence has now sailed. And during this little lockdown, she's calling me going, I just want you to know that I've been doing my little stretches and stuff. So she has definitely found a class that suits her, despite the fact that she'd been stuck inside. I think for the last 5-6 years, she hadn't been able to go out and do much, and the physios were, you know, once a month checkups. So she has definitely got a little class there that she goes to, gets out of the house. Her mental health is, you know, is much better than for doing it. So it is an absolutely lovely class.
Can I just say, though, that it's her new normal. So you're saying about her walking around the pool, it is, you know, taking into account that she has had the stroke and everything. So it's her new normal before people start thinking that she's, you know, walking down to the shops and things.
Oh no, yeah, no, completely, because as soon as she gets out of the water, she's put back into the wheelchair, and she then comes and gets back into the pod and lift out of the water, and she then transfers into the changing room in that wheelchair. So she's not walking around. I'm not creating miracles. I'm literally just in the water. We're just walking. But she does have her grandchildren come and watch her, and she's like, look at me, I'm walking in the water. And that's not walking on land. No, I definitely don't want to.
They are a fabulous group, and yeah, that you have each time, because I do cover for you occasionally when you have time off, but I can see the improvements that they've made each time that I go. So yeah, no, it's an amazing place to be for people that have had a stroke. Yeah, you know, strokes and mild strokes and everything, the difference and the proprioception, and to see their own body being able to walk, like you said, which they can't do on land, or need a stick or need a frame or something when they're on land, is just absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so the second one is the fact of when I first started tutoring, and I started teaching and going around the country lecturing on aquatic fitness, I also started to see that there was a stereotypical view of aqua aerobics. There was definitely a kind of view of the older generation, or the less able, you know, and less mobile people coming to the water. And I was young, and I definitely wanted to bring more people into the pool, and I wanted to try and push, and this is my challenge, and it's been there ever since. I want to keep that push going, because I want to be able to push younger people to come and try the water out. And I don't mean, you know, the 15-16-year-olds as such. I'm talking about the 20-year-olds, the 30-year-olds, to come and try the pool out, who haven't experienced the pool before, or who think that it is just for the old generation. And I also want to say, you know, the fact of more men are coming into the pool. And behind the scenes, my challenge has always been to try and get a life to the water that, you know, is fresh and mixed generations and mixed abilities, and from athletes all the way through. And I think that's a challenge that I'll probably continue to have throughout my career.
Until you get old.
Until I join that older generation bracket.
Yeah, sorry about that. Okay, so now we'll change the subject again slightly. So in all the years that you've been teaching, how do you think the industry has changed?
So for me, I started teaching when there was a change started. And one of the things that actually has almost infuriated me the most has been the fact that though the aqua instructors have changed, and though we are far more knowledgeable, we have far much more to offer, we deliver so many changes we deliver so many different styles of classes, and we deliver so many options for aqua aerobics, that the management side of things, or the big bosses at the top, haven't caught on. And that is something that is soul destroying for an aqua instructor, that we are, you know, we have elements like what we see on the land side. You know, we've got body pumps, and we've got the Zumbas and the yogas, and we've got all these different things on the timetable for the classes in the studios. But we just have Aqua, and the timetable just says, you know, just Aqua. And though
bugbears as well.
But even though we have changed, we as instructors have become far more knowledgeable, far more up to date, far more in the run of things. The management side has still put us down there. And that's one of my things that I have noticed in the time that I've been teaching.
Okay, so one final question. And it's a little bit of a tough one, really, actually, for your age.
Okay.
You've still got a massive amount of years left for your career, and a lot of things. There's been a lot of changes already, but there's going to be even more coming up, you know. So when you retire, something like me is a long time. Okay, what is the one thing, or I suppose at present, what would be the one thing that you would want to be remembered for in the industry, for your work, you know, and your work aspect?
So I would like to say that we made a difference to the industry. I would like to think that we've made a step forwards to allow the next generation to come up and be equally titled, like I was just explaining with the rest of the industry. I think that's kind of something that I would like to have as part of my retirement. Yeah.
Said that to you before when you retire?
No. I mean, not often I get asked if I started a pension, but I don't get asked about what I'd like to be known as for when I retire. But I think I'll have to think about that one a little bit more. But yeah, I would like to think that it is to make that difference.
Yeah, well, hopefully that with the company that we form between this area, that will go forward and will help to educate and maintain the high standards within the industry, especially in the UK.
Yeah, I agree. Well, let's keep working.
Absolutely. Okay, so I think that's it, Haylley. Thank you very much
for
your insight into, and for letting us have a little sample of the things that you're sort of doing and planning, and some of your expertise. So thank you very much, Haylley, and look forward to collaborating with you a lot more.
Yes.
In the near future.
We have lots planned. Watch this space.
We do.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.